Hi, my name is Dana Bell, and welcome to my reading. I will be reading from my Hunters and Vampires series, which is available on Amazon. I write them under the pen name of Bell Bluecat, that is spelled B-L-U-K-A-T. It's a very unusual spelling. And the one that I'm sharing tonight is called Hidden Secrets. I must be out of my mind. Here I am wearing a low-cut evening gown, surrounded by the most powerful vampires in our country. Me, a hunter, the one person who would like to drive a wooden stake through every one of their non-beating hearts. My partner, or at least the only other hunter I am aware of, shook his head as a warning while he served red wine to a group of what looked to be businessmen. They might be, for all I know. All I see are parasites who need to be wiped out. Gracious, I never knew I had such violence in my blood. Quickly, I stepped back as another vampire stepped close and took a whiff. I know their senses are strong, but really, they have no idea it's rude, to put it mildly. I put on my best smile and offered him a glass of white wine. He accepted as his red-tinged eyes glanced over my figure and settled on my neck. Don't think so, bud. I moved quickly away. My eyes drifted toward the front of the huge ballroom. That's where the most powerful of them is sitting. He's ensconced in what is basically his throne for tonight, a recliner with a crimson cloth thrown over it. At least there aren't any scantily clad women sitting at his feet. His dark suit fits his trim, muscular body perfectly, and his partially unbuttoned blue shirt, nearly matching his eyes, showed off his chest hair. Kinda sexy, and I pulled my eyes away, reminding myself he's a cold-blooded killer. One I should end if at all possible, not run after him like some love-struck romance heroine. The last glass disappeared off my tray, and I returned to the kitchen. At least the owner renovated it with dark cherry cabinets and gray marble countertops. My fellow hunter followed, refilling his as well. The smell of fermented grapes filled the room. Relax, he told me. Remember why we are here. Oh, I remembered. We're the advanced scouts. The rest of the hunters are hiding all around the estate, waiting to strike. Just serve drinks and wait for my signal. He left, and I waited before exiting and continued my rounds around the hardwood floor. Ball-shaped lights hung down from the ceiling, exiting the pale beige walls. My mind rehearsed the training I'd been given last week as a new recruit. This was my first hunt, and my hands itched to make my first kill. Gideon's eyes followed the auburn-haired woman as she served drinks, deftly stepping away from any who ventured too close. His sixth sense clicked in, since she seemed familiar, even as his desire and hunger stirred. He wanted her. He motioned to his bodyguard and best friend Elijah. Bring her to me. Gideon indicated the woman he wanted with a slight movement of his chin. His blonde-haired friend with pale blue eyes nodded, frowning as if he too recognized her. He worked his way through the room, catching many women's attention. Gideon didn't blame them. His muscular bodyguard looked sharp in his brown slacks, black jacket, and red shirt. Elijah intercepted the woman near the back of the room, leaning close to speak with her. Briefly, her eyes darted in Gideon's direction. Leisurely, he got to his feet, exiting through the hallway as he retreated to his office. He'd had the room decorated in dark browns with pale cream walls. Bookshelves lined one wall, a leather coach against another, while his desk sat before a large window overlooking a private garden. He sipped his wine, looking out over bare trees. The moon made them look like skeleton fingers rising up to greet the full moon. A light knock, and he smiled. Enter. As you requested. Elijah sounded amused. Thank you. Gideon watched his friend's reflection in the glass. Elijah motioned the woman inside and closed the door. Taking a final drink of wine, he turned to face her. She was perhaps in her 30s. Long auburn hair he wanted to run his fingers through, what she wore down, covering tan shoulders. Her sapphire gown fit her perfectly, leaving nothing of her figure to the imagination. Her eyes proved to be an unusual mixture of brown and green. She was stunning. My name is Gideon. I don't care, she snapped, surprising him. He expected her to be more docile. Most of the serving women normally were. Come now, there's no reason to be impolite. He moved, leaned against his desk. What is your name, please? Miranda. Beautiful name for a lovely woman. You must be blind. Her unusual response caught him by surprise. Has no one ever told you that? Gideon felt his hunger begin to burn and knew he had to feed soon. He'd rather have her willingly than to fight him. Her blood would be sweeter. Men don't look at me twice. She turned her head away from him. He snorted. They are fools. I should get back. Her hand found the doorknob and turned it. A look of panic crossed her face when she realized it was locked. Let me out of here. Sorry, I can't do that. He moved slowly toward her. I'm not going to hurt you, Miranda. That's a lie. I know what you vampires do to humans. Her words stopped him, and his eyes narrowed. You're a hunter. Miranda raised her head proudly. We're here to end you. The complete arrogance of this vampire. He really seemed to think I would fall for his supposed charms. Ha! And how will you end me? He actually sounded amused. I noticed his dark brown hair had been combed back in a style accenting his good looks. Like I should even be noticing. Like we always do, a stake through your heart. I made a thrusting motion with my hand. You realize your instructors did not tell you the truth. More nonsense, as I'd been taught to expect. I crossed my arms over my chest, trying not to blush, as his blue eyes frankly looked over my body. How long have you been a hunter? Long enough, I shot back. All of a sudden, he'd crossed the room and grabbed my upper arms. How long? He demanded, his eyes reminding me of blazing fire. A couple of weeks, I heard myself answer. Mortified, my voice shook. He hissed, whirling me around and backing me against his desk. The sharp edge dug into my tender backside. How many hunters in my house? I don't know, I told him. Upset I told him anything at all. The truth! He hadn't moved, yet I felt his whole body pressed against mine. I don't know, I wailed, terrified. My teacher hadn't prepared me for the sheer power of a vampire, carried as if it were a weapon to make me cower. He nodded. You're telling me the truth. Gideon, I think he said his name was, went to the door. I heard the lock click, and he stepped outside. My body wanted to run. I tried to force my feet to move, yet they felt glued to the carpeted floor. What had he done to me? The door opened, and the creature returned. We owe you a debt of thanks. Your warning may save many lives. He looked at me, and I couldn't read his expression. Hopefully, some of them will be hunters. With a frown, I wondered why he'd want to save hunters. You have no idea how they lied to you, he observed, pouring himself another glass of wine from the sidebar. Would you like some? Can't. Allergies. Unfortunate. He opened the cabinet below. I have sparkling water or soda. Which would you prefer? Sparkling water. Why am I being civil with a monster I'd come to kill? His long fingers offered me a glass of bubbling water. I took it and sipped the beverage, hoping he hadn't drugged me. His eyes regarded me as if I were a puzzle to be solved. They recruit, attack, and retreat, leaving their new members for dead. Then they wait, thinking to lull us into thinking they've gone, and strike again, hoping our defenses are down. That's not, I began before I clamped my mouth shut. That's not what you were told. He put his glass on the desk. Their new recruits are pawns they sacrifice. His cold fingers brushed my cheek, and I shivered. Whether from fear or desire, I couldn't be sure. I would not wish such a fate for you. What are you going to do with me? I dared to ask, terrified at his answer. You told me the truth, so you've earned your life. He took my glass from me and sat it beside his. But I am hungry. My heart sped up, and I felt trapped, knowing I could not escape him. Images of what he'd do to me, some making me blush, rushed through my mind. Don't believe what they told you, he said quietly, turning me around so my back rested against his front as his fingers pulled my hair away from my throat. No! I tried to yank away. His other arm held me in place. Please, I begged, don't! I heard him inhale. You smell like trees in autumn after they lose their leaves. And fireplace smoke and crisp air. Let go! I struggled to get loose. You have your life. I won't kill you, he said quietly in my ear before nibbling my lobe. His lips traveled down my throat, coming to rest against my throbbing vein. I tensed, waiting for the pain I knew would follow. So alive, he thought, as his lips rested against her vein, her blood there for his taking. His fangs extended, and he felt her body tense. Relax, he coached, holding back his thirst. I'm not going to hurt you. Liar! Miranda snarled, once again trying to break free. We do not kill unless forced to. His ears picked up the fighting going on in the ballroom. Elijah could handle the conflict and hopefully spare as many hunters as possible. How can I believe you? He heard the fear in her voice. If I wanted you dead, you already would be.